That's true. You're right. You're right.
Or dead husband.
Ooh.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Right, right.
So, folks who are here for the first time, welcome to Real Drama. I'm Aileen.
I'm Olivia.
We work at the Museum of Broadcast, and we come to you guys on Instagram every Friday at 5:30 Central to talk to you about reality TV. So every other week, we switch back and forth on format. Some weeks we're going to talk to you about history of reality TV and of specific shows.
Mm-hmm.
The other weeks we're going to binge something. We hope you'll binge. And then we're going to talk about what we saw. So what is this week, Olivia?
This week we're talking about the show Real World, which during the first part of its existence was just called Real World, and it is now called The Real World.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be flip-flopping on what I call it.
And before we jump into that, do you have any hot goss this week?
Yes.
Hit me.
My hot goss this week is that Lord Scott Disick and
Lord.
Is that who he was dating? Well, they broke up, so they're no longer together.
So the grown man broke up with a teenager.
Yep.
Grown man, father of 3?
Maybe 4.
Maybe, who knows? Okay, good for her. Good for her.
Truly good for her. She dodged
My hot goss is related to one of the things that brought us together in this reality TV morass.
Mm-hmm.
From this most recent season, Pilot Pete season.
Yes.
Victoria F.
Oh.
Victoria F made it to the final 3 or 4, I think 3.
3, yeah.
And was prone to random meltdown, town visits, and she and Pete kind of had it out, and they stood outside her parents' house and broke up, and he didn't even go inside and meet her parents. Well, Victoria F is in a serious and exclusive relationship with Chris Soules, the bachelor from Teen.
The farmer?
Yes.
What?
I bring the us.
How
Mm-hmm.
did Victoria F find Prince Farmer? Chris is so sweet. She's so mean.
Apparently, Chris is a compulsive slider into the DMer.
Oh.
What I hear. Allegedly.
Chris,
so there's my hot goss.
He's supposed to be a nice Iowa boy. I have a soft spot in my heart for him.
But they have been self-isolating, I guess double isolating, at his place in Iowa.
What?
Mm-hmm.
They probably, wow.
Wow.
That is some hot goss.
I'd say, where's Tish? Because I'd want to tell her that.
I know. Where is she? She needs to log on. But you know what? I'll dab to
You dab to that?
I dab to that.
And there go the viewers.
Yep. Well, that goss was hot. So if they're checking it out now, they got what they came here for.
They're missing the hottest of the goss.
Yes. Incredible.
So back to Real World. How did that all start? Where did it come from?
Well, here's where it came from, Aileen. We've discussed before that kind of a pioneer of reality television as a genre started with a show called An American Family, which came on in 1973. And it followed just a regular family in California, cameras in there, kind of just set them up and watched them live. So the Real was inspired by that, actually, the style and just like watching people interact and live their lives. And so it started in 1992, and I am reading off, I have a PowerPoint here for myself so that I remember the details. Oh my goodness. It's Friday. I need notes, you know? So it was inspired mainly by that, and then it was also inspired by the rise of these popular teen shows that were scripted, but were also just kind of following. There wasn't a specific gimmick. They were kind of just following the lives of these people who often lived in extraordinary. It's like 90210, Melrose Place, etc.
But those shows had huge casts. That must have been so expensive to put those shows together.
Yes. And actually, the creators of Real World, who were two producers, Brian, no, I'm so sorry. They're a pair, Boonham and Murray.
Mm-hmm.
They created this show. They had a scripted show in the works. They were ready to start shooting, and then they were like, oops, this costs a lot of money. They fired everyone and get a reality show. Because also in the late 80s, there was a writer's strike. So writers were hard to come by if there were any working, and they were making demands that studios and producers were not willing to meet. But that's a tale for another time, am I right? So they fire the cast, and we're gonna hold auditions for real people between the ages of 18 and 24, and they're going to submit videos to us from all around the country, and then we're going to put them in a renovated apartment in Soho, and we're going to see what happens. And we're going to pay them all $2,500 for 2 months of filming. And they can get away with that since they are real people, not actors. They paid them, I want to say it was actually $2,600. I'm so sorry. For those 2 months. And they also make no royalties. So an actor that's on a regular TV show gets paid every time that show is aired. The case for.
And I think I also read somewhere that if they broke something during their stay, they had to pay for it out of their
way.
Yeah.
We do have an in-studio audience to my left, and they are gasping at the concept of them having to pay for broken.
I love the studio
IKEA
audience.
Furniture.
Yes.
So easily replaced. We'll say that much. So yeah, it was cheap to make. They didn't have to pay for costumes. People wore clothes. Nothing. Honestly, kind of smart.
Yeah.
Evil, but kind of smart. And in fact, the television show that had aired in 1991, just the year before 28, and it was the same exact concept as Real World, but it was scripted. And so that guy who created it was angry because he was like, you stole my whole concept. And they were like, well, not really. This is a reality show.
We're going to avoid genre just to avoid lawsuits.
Exactly. Interestingly enough, so the show was really popular with viewers, which they maybe quiet at first, but by the second season, SNL was spoofing them, and you made it.
So was this on a major network, like NBC's on Friday nights? You tune in and watch it?
Oh no, it was on MTV.
Which is an even greater feat if they were able to bring large viewership to sort of a really niche cable market.
Exactly, especially at that time. This was really the first reality show that MTV had. It was a risk. They were trying something, and obviously it has worked for them because now pretty much all MTV does is reality television.
And they haven't played a music video since.
Yeah, this is MTV's longest running show, or one of them.
Wow.
It's been running for 33 years with a brief break. But the reviews, garbage. Mm-hmm. Critics were baffled. They were like, what do you expect us to just watch teenagers hang out? Right. Some of them were, USA Today said that the show was painfully bogus.
Wow.
A cynical and exploitative new low in television. Let's see. Matt Roosh from USA Today said, watching The Real World, which fails as documentary, in parentheses, too phony, fails as entertainment, in parentheses, too dull. It's hard to tell who's using who more. The Washington said, to be young, cute, and stupid, and to have too much free time.
Wow.
Me in quarantine, am I right? Young, cute, and stupid with too much free time. Oh man, let's see.
So what year was that?
You.
Okay.
So I had not lived in a world without reality television, without the real world.
That's wild to me because 1992, I was well into my college years.
So you were their prime demographic. You should have auditioned. You could be an influencer right now. You could have been a night influencer.
I could have. Now I know what I would do if I got a time machine. Totally go back to 91.
Yes.
Did you see anything about season 0 when you were doing your research?
I did.
So what I saw was that they actually shot a season over a long weekend. It was like Memorial Day weekend in the same loft in Soho that they shot Real World New York, the first season, with only like 6 people. They never intended to air it. They used that for their pitch meeting to take to MTV to say, this is the show we want to make.
So that was their pilot?
Kind of, but they never intended for it to air.
Interesting.
It was just like a promo that they did, and they said it was 3 days.
The real world even is. The concept is that...
You did say it.
Oh, I did? They take 7 to 8 18 they put them in a house, they live it.
That house is full of cameras, like 40, 50 cameras pretty much everywhere but the bathroom.
Right. They're always rolling.
And
we watch the drama unfold. I mean, look, if I live with 3 roommates and was watching our everyday lives, it would be very boring. But if you could supercut all of the fun, any like disagreements or anything like that, it might be interesting.
If someone is watching you 24/7, you say, Olivia, there's something that your roommates and I have been meaning to tell you. You're on candid camera. Yes. We have to talk to you about that thing you said Thursday night.
Oh my gosh.
I knew you were going to get caught.
Audience is turning on me.
They totally turned you in.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I stand by what I said. I think sour cream is an unnecessary invention. That's just a controversial opinion that I hold. Anyway,
I'm so disappointed in you.
Back on track.
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Well, Aileen, I'm sure that because you're going to tell us about some notable people who were on the show.
I am, but I think first I want to talk about one of the things that I think appealed, or at least it appealed to me because you said I was world age. It gave people in their home a chance to really see and digest the lives of people whose viewpoints and lives and experiences were completely different from theirs. And they could do it from the safety of their own home.
Yeah, that's huge. Because also they intentionally cast a diverse group, race-wise, religion-wise, sexuality-wise, which in 1992 is ahead of its time. I feel
so in that first,
it's cool to see a show actually represent America.
Yeah.
In a way.
But people could interact with the people and maybe reformulate how they think or how they see. So for example, in that first season in 1992, one of the roommates, Norman, was openly queer. And he was really one of the first real openly queer people that with, and some of his housemates saw that as a challenge because they had never really interacted with queer people before.
Wow.
Less erudite in that same season, one of the housemates, Becky, did engage in a relationship with one of the directors of the show.
Kendall.
And he got fired.
Wow.
But But right from the start, there was scandalous stuff going on that people wanted to see. Where else were you going to see real people having affairs on TV?
That's true. Yeah, real people. I know. It's like the invention of reality TV must have been shocking and so fascinating for people who are like, oh, I am getting the hot gossip of town.
Right.
But it doesn't affect me or anyone I know.
But I think that brought a new level to water cooler conversation because you were talking about these people like you knew. Did you see what Kevin did? You know, like
you were in the living room.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was 92. Sort of the next big thing, I think, was 1994. That was San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Zamora, one of the roommates, was the first openly gay man in pop culture, and he was an AIDS educator.
So it had been almost 15 years since AIDS really started to become a thing that people were aware of in the United States. It was only 1985 when President Reagan actually said the word AIDS. So just 9 years later, people have heard it and it's mysterious and there's a lot of stigma and disinformation, and all of a sudden there's a gay man with AIDS in your living room once a week telling his story. Again, and that put people in safe proximity to understand, like what it was really all about and relate to Pedro as a human.
Wow. And like, really?
Yeah. And it was like, by 94, I personally knew at least one person with full-blown AIDS, but to see that on TV, because TV was like where the stars are, and to see that there was like, it was wild. But it opened dialogue because, I remember that was the entree that I had to talk to people who otherwise were dismissive and were stereotyping and spreading misinformation. And it was a tool to let people talk to other people otherwise just didn't have. So there was a season, 1996. It seems like we're going every 2 years. Miami, real not scared of editing in the hard conversations. There was a really deep conversation about racism.
Really?
Two roommates got into an argument, and the one dismissed the other Black attitude. And that led to a whole conversation between all of the roommates getting together, talking through it, and really sort of, even if they weren't able to adjust each other's perception on race, they were able to inform Europeans better. And again, I was a kid in the 90s. Those weren't things we really talked about at home. And if we did, it wasn't openly and honestly. It was, and here's what you should think. But there wasn't room for discussion or discourse. And maybe my household was atypical in that way. But here again was this catalyst to talk about that. The flip side of that, before a contestant in Philadelphia, and we'll get him in a couple of minutes, actually came into the house saying that he hated Caucasian people, to the extent that he considered himself racist. And you got to see his perception change through that journey of having to live with people he hadn't really spent a lot of time with. So that was one of the things that I loved. They really got in there. 93, I just went back 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
One of the housemates, Tammy, got pregnant and decided to have an abortion.
Wow. She got pregnant in the house? Like,
no.
During the show?
I think she came in pregnant.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa.
But that was hugely contentious. And she and one of her housemates, got into an ethical screaming match about this regularly. But the real world didn't shy away from it. They recognized it was an important topic. What they did was they put a disclaimer up before the episode aired. Okay. And I'm going to read this off my screen. The disclaimer was, this is the real world where sometimes we face life's serious and sobering struggles. This episode is controversial and painful of these struggles. viewer discretion is advised.
Wow.
A completely neutral statement up front.
Yeah.
It doesn't take sides. It warns the viewer what's going on. And I think it expresses the importance of having that discussion.
Wow.
Like, so many people knowing someone that had an abortion, but didn't know that because it's not a thing you really talk about. It's not casual cocktail conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually. But it forced conversation into people's homes, into the living room, and made people have the dialogue. So maybe it didn't change a lot of minds, but it made people think, perhaps more than they would have thought otherwise.
Yeah, that's really cool because, I mean, we've talked before about how reality TV gets this reputation of being trash, fluff, mind candy, whatever. But, I mean, obviously, yeah, so, like, this is proving that it can be more than that, especially when you're dealing with real people that you interact with every day.
Right.
And look, hopefully this isn't the first place you're hearing it, but representation matters.
What? So other things they didn't shy away from. 2004, Frankie, one of the housemates, had cystic fibrosis. And a lot of people have never met or spent time around someone with a profound disability. So you got to see how Frankie lived, what their day-to-day was, how they were impacted or not impacted, or being able to appreciate their living life. So it brought disability home for people. 2005, one of the castmates or roommates went political and expressed that they were really disappointed with specifically the U.S.'s entry into the Iraq War. And one of the other roommates, Rachel, had served as a combat medic in Iraq in the military.
Wow.
And that, again, growing up, you hear one side of that conversation or the other, but you don't necessarily have both people in the same place at the same time to provide the facts and give you the educated decisions about life. So I feel like The Real World was just really great about bringing those issues home. And it produced some stars. Can I talk about them?
Yes, please do.
Okay. 92, first season in New York. One of the housemates, Kevin Powell, was a little controversial. He was a black man. He was very, very proud of being a black man. He had some strong, like Pan-African beliefs, and he was quick to espouse them. Got into a lot of rumblings with his other housemates. Ended up being a really successful author, journalist.
Wow.
So right from the go. We talked about Pedro Zamora as an AIDS educator, a world of educating, not just in his day-to-day job, but also by being on TV and being willing to put himself in that situation and be open and honest about his life and what he was going through. That was then Jacinda Barrett. She's an Australian, ended up being an actress and a model. What I love about Jacinda, not the only thing I love about Jacinda, was that I learned today what her full name is. Jacinda Barrett is her working name.
Oh.
Her full name is Giacinta Juanita Cordelia Arabella Luciana Rosalina Barrett.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous. From Boston, 1997. One of the roommates, Sean, ended up going on to be a congressperson.
No way.
And married a roommate from a different season.
Okay.
2000. Those of you that are current reality freaks might recognize the name Cameron Eubanks. She's on Southern Charm.
It's like I do recognize.
Yep. Thank you, Susie. It is a great name. Cameron Eubanks was on Real World in her youth and now is on Southern Charm, which is a show about folks in the South. And I think the most recent star that I can think of from the room, also in 2004, Real World Philadelphia, was the first cast to have 2 open members. One of them was, Olivia, do you know?
No.
One of them was Karomo Brown, who you now know from Netflix, Queer Eye.
Oh my gosh, wait, I forgot. Yes, I did know the world.
Yep.
Oh.
So that's kind of where Karomo got his start in the public eye, was on the real world when he was much younger.
I forgot. Oh my gosh. I'm a big Karamo
Isn't that
fan.
fun? I love
Wow.
Karamo. That's the folks that, like, I mean, people got names you can remember from this silly. Yeah.
Cool.
Is it time?
That's awesome. It's time. It's almost 6 o'clock, which means it is time for my favorite part of every other week, which is when I quiz Aileen.
This always goes very poorly. All right.
Well, we were going to switch it up and you were going to get to quiz me a little bit, but there's simply no time.
Okay.
Question. You already kind of mentioned this earlier. Approximately how many cameras are used during production of The Real World?
45.
About 30.
Crap.
Yeah.
45 when they were used fewer when it became digital. That's a lie. I am making that up. I'm just trying to defend my position.
Okay. Okay. How long are episodes of The Real World?
That's a trick question, Olivia.
Oh, it is a trick question.
They changed.
Yeah, they did.
I do not remember if they got shorter or they got longer.
They were short and then long and then got short again. So they 30 minutes.
It's a double trick question.
It is.
Oh,
They were 30
yeah.
minutes for the first 16 years, the first half. And then in 2008 they switched to hour-long episodes that lasted until 2017. Then the show went off the air until 2019. It came back it's on YouTube. And they're an hour long again. Or no, they're 30 minutes again. I'm sorry. You didn't fall for my. I think you'll be able to get this one too. Ready?
All right.
So, like we said earlier, the apartments are usually furnished with IKEA furniture. And there is pretty much always one specific item that is heavily featured in the house. And it serves as a metaphor for what?
A fish tank.
Yes,
because
a fish
they
tank.
are living in a fish tank.
Yeah.
I won this week.
You got them all. Yeah, good job. Wow, the studio audience is clapping and cheering for you.
Thunderous applause. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, unfortunately,
we're out of time.
We're out of time, and also episodes of The Real World are hard to come by.
They are, dude.
Listen, Jeff Bezos, if you're watching,
hook some girls up.
You really need that extra $26, or could you just let us have a season of The Real World?
Assuming that Jeff Bezos doesn't come in the next week, Olivia and I are going to be binging some of the most popular moments from The Real World, wherever we can find them. Yeah. We're going to break that down next week and really further the evolution of the show, its impact on society, and some ridiculousness. I'm sure there will be.
Cool. And then we can recount the drama to all of you as though we're pals at the water cooler.
Yay!
How fun will that be?
And then don't forget a very special happy half hour Tuesday at 5:30 on Facebook. Our executive director, Susie Schultz, is going to be hosting Karen Herman from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is the exhibit that was in the museum when everything went sideways in March. They're going to be talking about the exhibit. They might have some cool stuff to show you, but that is going to be super exciting. So happy half hour Tuesdays, 5 Facebook, be there.
Wahoo! Karen's so nice. That'll be fun.
Right? So, Olivia, big plans this weekend?
You know what? I think I'm just gonna stay in this weekend. How about you?
I mean, same TBA.
All right.